Hi there, welcome to Ruth's Kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how to cut up a pumpkin and prepare it for cooking on the stove so that you can make your own pumpkin pack instead of buying it in the can. I've already done it once earlier today, so I'm going to show you the cutting up and hopefully the de-seeding part of it. I'm a little concerned about this pumpkin because he feels a little soft. I might have waited a little too long, but we're going to try it anyway. So I have a pumpkin here about this size. It's probably close to the size of my head, but hopefully it has a bunch of more stuff in it than my head. Can't believe I said that. Anyway, I can't play with the camera too much while I'm doing this, so I'm going to hold things up once in a while to show you. I'm going to cut the top off just like I would if I were going to carve it for a jack-o'-lantern. I just find that it's easier doing it that way. So then I can cut it up into smaller pieces, and I find that it's easier to get the seeds off of those smaller pieces as opposed to reaching my hand inside and pulling all of this out. I usually watch people making a face going, ew, and pulling it out. So we don't have to do that. So we're going to demystify the ooh, and I'm going to set you down on the counter at counter level, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. First, I'm going to cut as much of the lid up as I can, and it is rather soft skin. So that's the reason for the trouble in cutting it, not that this knife isn't deathly sharp, because it is. But this is the meat that we want. That's what makes the pumpkin pack that comes in the can. So we're not going to peel it all and get nice fresh pieces like this to cook. This will be a really good piece. But what we're going to do, this will throw out. We're going to save the seeds, and it really doesn't look as bad inside as I had thought that it might. But we're going to put these pieces, ooh, ah-cha-cha, that's hot. We're going to cut them up and put them in a pot. And right now, I'm cooking what I cut up earlier. So you can see the pieces in there. So we're going to cut some more up. And we're going to cut them up just about the same size that I had in that pot. And what you're going to find is that instead of cutting the pulp and the seeds off like I just did, you're going to want to use a spoon, because it's really easy. Of course the phone rings, so we'll just table that till later. So here's all we need to do to get these seeds out. We don't even care if there's still some stringy stuff left on it. We're just going to make a pile over here. I went to get my other pot, but since it's sitting on the stove, the handle actually got hot. And I'll have to get a pot holder to pick that up with later. So I'm cutting pieces into pieces about the size of the palm of my hand. Basically, that's a good measure. And if you need to come over and measure my hand, then hopefully you know me, but if you don't know me, then you're going to have to use your own hand. Alright, so anyway, this is what we're going to do with this pumpkin. I'm basically just going to cut wedges. There's a wedge. And I'm just going to keep wedging my way around the pumpkin. It is so much easier than trying to cut it in half or dig your hand in there and scoop all these seeds out. Now, I will tell you, this pumpkin is much softer. Look at this. A pumpkin should not be that soft. Generally, it's quite stiff yet. So I'm glad I didn't let this go any further, because we probably would not have been able to use it. if we waited another week, or maybe even less than a week. But there are no signs of decay, so we're going to go for it. Alright, so you can see that these pieces are bigger than the palm of my hand. So I'm just going to cut them in half. And this doesn't take very long to just scoop the seeds out. Look at that. No reaching your hand into those dark, ooey gooey crevices of unknown pumpkinness. Yuck, who wants to do that? I mean, sure, you have to do that if you're going to carve a jack-o'-lantern. But that's not what we're doing today. So why put yourself through it? Heck, no. Alright, now this piece, I'm going to cut some of it off because this has the bottom. Nobody needs pumpkin butt. Nobody wants pumpkin butt. So we'll just cut off and throw this part away. And we'll keep the other part for the pot. Now I have only 2 pieces left, and we're just going to continue this. We're going to put it in a big pot on the stove. You just barely cover the pieces with water. And what I've noticed, this size pumpkin, cutting it up in this size pieces, they are now very fork tender. And I've been cooking that pot, oh, let's see, it's 6:30. I think I put it on about 4:45. So an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and it is really ready for me to take it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off, I have actually already turned off the heat just before starting this video. And you want to let the water cool a little bit. Then I'm going to take my colander and just pour it into that. You could save the water if you wanted to. If you're really a good recycler, you probably could use that water in a soup because it has nutrients in it that have come out of the pumpkin. I hate to pour it down the drain, but I'm not going to make a soup today. So I could pour it into like a Tupperware gallon pitcher or something and save it, put it in the freezer or whatever. But I'm not going to do that just for the sake of the video. I'm sure I'll have more pumpkins that I'll do over the course of the fall. So I'm just going to drain the water off, and then I'm going to let those pieces cool. They are way too hot to work with. After they're cool, then you will pick them up and you will notice that the rind started peeling away from the flesh. And with very little effort and possibly a butter knife, you'll be able to just peel the rind off and discard it into the trash. What's left is what we want, and you'll collect it in either a blender or a food processor, and then you'll blitz it up so that it is like pure pulp, and it's going to look very much like what you get in the can. But what you'll notice is you'll get a lot more of it out of a pumpkin. So start this with doing only 1 pumpkin. Otherwise, the first time I did it, I did 2 pumpkins thinking I needed that much for a pumpkin pie. I had enough to make 3 pumpkin pies. So do yourself a favor, start with 1 medium-sized pumpkin and see how much pulp you get. 16 ounces is enough for 1 pie, because that's the size of the can that you buy. 32 ounces will give you 2 pies, just like the great big fat pumpkin pack cans. And just kind of use that as a rule of thumb. Alright, after you have peeled the rind off, then you're going to take, where's my strainer? Okay, who took my strainer? Maybe I hung it back up. Oh, here it is. You're going to take the pulp and put it in a strainer, not a colander, because you want to actually let the pulp sit in here and let it drain and drain and drain as long as you can. Okay? The longer you let it drain, the closer it will look to what you get in a can, pumpkin pack, because it's packed down in there. They get as much water out of it as possible. Okie doke. Alright, well, that's all I have for you right now, and hopefully that will get you started. After I get to the next step, then I'll put another video out. That'll be part 2, and you can see what we do with it as we're peeling it and cooling and putting it in a blender. Thanks for joining us, and come on back.